Ooh, I still feel like I'm shaking. 5.1 magnitude. I always wondered if I would catch an earthquake on camera. Hi, so today we're going to be doing a side-by-side. I'm going to be comparing a cream versus powder application. And we're going to be using my new brush with Refer, which I designed to work with both powders and creams. So I'm going to show you how you can use it with both powders and creams. Duh, all right? So let's just do it. Jeez. Okay, so if you don't know, starting over. I launched a brush with Refer. Now, I don't know if it's available yet. It depends on when this video is going up, but it is available August 6th. August 6th. I can't speak, dude. I need a break. I only just started. This is the AA01 brush. You know what I mean? It's got my name on it and everything. It says Alexandra Anele right down here. That's me. If you missed the explanation as to like all the details basically about the brush and like why I developed it and all that stuff, I'll link it down below or pop it up here or wherever. That being said, the brush itself is a combination of natural and synthetic fibers, which is why it works for both powders and creams. And I wanted to show you basically how is that possible? So on this side, we're gonna be doing our creams. Get this hair out of the way. I am growing my pixie a little bit. Like I'm growing it. I'm trying to see how long I can grow it. And I really want to cut it off. I want to cut it off so bad. Okay, so you'll notice that this is like a pretty small size compared to a lot of face brushes. I mean, for example, the Rare Beauty powder brush. You know what I mean? I mean, this could be applied or used to apply powder. I use this to apply blush sometimes. NARS. I think this is just like a powder or blush brush, you know, size-wise. I don't really use other face brushes because I've been working on this one for such a long time, so I don't really have that many other ones around. So I personally have one specifically for creams and one specifically for powders that I go back and forth between because it's just like, I don't know, it makes sense for me, you know what I mean? So we're gonna start off with the cream one. I'm gonna start off with my contour. So I have my base done. I have foundation and concealer on. And then I only powdered gently this side where we're going to be using powders. So for my contour, I'm going to be using my Anastasia Fawn. So it's kind of up to you whether or not you want to lay the product down like initially or pick it up with the brush to blend. If you're someone who has a difficult time with like applying too much product, then you're probably going to want to use your brush to pick it up. I do both. You've seen me do both in my videos, but I am going to, using just the tip of the brush, pick up a little bit of the product so that I'm not going in with too much. Now I like to start with my jawline, make it a little bit more cut here. So the reason that we added synthetic fibers was to make the brush slightly more dense. It was all natural hair before, and it was very, very, very soft. It's still soft, but it was a little more like bouncy. Bouncy, is that the word? It was just a little soft. It was just like a little gentle. And I did want it to work for both powders and creams. So the synthetic fibers help to create a little bit more density and grip when it comes to picking up both powders and creams, but in particular creams. So unlike a lot of other like natural hair, we're having an earthquake right now. It's the only reason that I keep Twitter. It's the only reason that I keep Twitter. Ooh, I still feel like I'm shaking. LA earthquake. That's literally the only thing. 5.1 magnitude. Barstow. Okay, I don't even know where that is. Damn, bro. I always wondered if I would catch an earthquake on camera. And we just did. I don't know if you guys saw anything, but my lights started shaking. My camera was shaking. I was like, what the hell? All right, glad I'm not crazy. Sometimes I feel like I'm feeling something and then I check Twitter and no one's talking about it. I'm like, all right, I must have just like shook the couch weird. Okay, what was I saying? So the synthetic fibers help to add a little bit of density and grip. So it's really going to like grip onto the product. So it's not going to be like when you're using another natural hair brush that's just like I don't know, or it just gets too wet you know, and then it won't blend. It's too like limp. It's not going to be like that. So I am trying to minimize this area. You guys know how I contour. Just going back and picking up tiny amounts, making sure to, like, I have my mirror pretty far away. It's like 1.5 feet away from me, which, like, I personally, for face, I like to do that. For face application, I like to kind of do that because you can get more of a sense of like your face shape. You know, it's one of the reasons that I find professional makeup artists, like, it's harder. It's a lot easier to do makeup on other people because you can see the whole canvas. It's a lot harder to, like, you can't remove your eyes from your head to like look at the whole thing. You know what I mean? So stepping back so that you can kind of see all of the proportions, how everything is working together is really important. So I would suggest not to just be doing your makeup super up close and then finish the whole thing. Like, if you have to get close, make sure that you're kind of just like stepping back occasionally in between steps so that you know what the hell it's looking like. Okay, and you'll also notice that I'm holding my brush pretty far back on the handle, which is nice because this has an extended handle. So that will also help to keep application light if you're someone who has a difficult time blending or if you tend to go in with too much product. Now I'm twisting my brush. You'll see I'm using the, I'm using the pointed side where the brush starts to come to a point here. I'm flipping it to that side. So I'm using that pointed edge for my, like, the angle of my contour. So like I want my contour to be like sharper here and then blended up. So that's how I'm using this brush now. Flipping it up so we can keep the sharper edge. And then kind of going back and forth and then blending up and out. Once I have that edge placed down, I'm going to flip it back around and I'm just going to pat up and out. If you're someone who has a difficult time with product moving your foundation around, or if you have like acne that you've covered up and you don't want to do like a sweeping motion, this is great. It's great for patting. And you can kind of like utilize the same technique, just patting, which might make a little bit harsher of a line because this is going to create like more precision, or you can twist it to the side angle and kind of like press it in. So there's like a lot of different angles that you can use for this brush and the application. Okay, so that's my contour, my cream contour. Nice, defined, you know, natural, love that color. Let's go to the side. So for my powder, I'm going to be using the Etude contour palette. This is the lightest one. I never remember what the name is because it's in Korean on the back, but I'm pretty sure it's light. I think it's just light. And I don't use this color really. Sometimes I use it for eyeshadow. I use this color right here to contour. So I can't believe there was an earthquake. So I'm going to, using my powder brush, same thing, just dipping into the product gently, okay? Make sure you tap off. This is a really nice contour palette. It's very, very soft. And I'm going to do basically the same thing. So for my jawline, once again, I'm utilizing the tip so that I can like create that sculpt. Because basically like I have this thing that happens here. I like to kind of like straighten this to just kind of cut my jawline, make it look a little more cut. So I'm utilizing that point. I'm holding it not super far back because I am trying to like utilize a little bit more precision here. So I'm focusing on the tip and I'm holding it kind of like not halfway, but a little bit closer to halfway, maybe somewhere between 2/3 and halfway. So I have a little bit more precision, a little more control. Drawing that line to begin with. Now I'm gonna kind of make a double chin. Now I'm gonna hold it a little bit further back. I'm gonna twist it so that I have a slightly softer application. Bringing that down. And then you gotta always double chin it up. Now I'm gonna, once again, holding it and making it soft. Nice gentle application, bringing it up a little bit. So I'm just softening that line. So we have that line created with the precision of the point. And then we have the option to soften. So what's nice about this brush in particular is it has very varied bristles, brush bristles. So it's a little bit more dense on the inside of the brush, and then all around it you can kind of see these little like bristles that pop up that are kind of like, you see those little bristles popping out around the general shape. You see these tiny little bristles. So when you're using powders, you can kind of utilize those top bristles, which is really nice. It ends up creating a really nice soft application. All right, so let's see, are we even here? Can I use a little bit more? I'm gonna pick up just a little bit more. Once again, just tapping, tapping, dabbing, tapping. Lots of tapping. I know I have a breakout down here. Don't worry, I'm gonna spot conceal later. Okay, now for my cheekbones, same thing. I'm using less the point, and I'm kind of dipping the whole brush. But again, we are going to start with the point, making sure to tap off, and once again, twisting the brush. So right here, where I see the hollow of my cheekbone, pushing up against that, using the whole brush, but the point here. Sharpening, pushing up. So very similar application technique, holding it very far back. With powders, I think that is preferable. And once again, twisting. You can do the same kind of thing, like patting motion, if you're someone, once again, who has like coverage that you want to maintain. Or you can sweep. It's up to you. If you're sweeping, if you're patting, then like self-explanatory, right? Obviously be gentle. If you're sweeping, make sure you're holding it back and just dusting over, gently over your skin. Utilizing that point to get close to the hairline without getting contour all up in my hair. Picking up a little bit more on the point just to kind of even this out with the other side. Okay, so here is the powder contour versus the cream contour. So what you have the option of just wiping it off on a paper towel, or I usually use my switch to switch between shades. For my cream bronzer, I'm going to be using Merit Quince. You know, it's annoying because I ask and people answer and then I forget. It's the lightest one. It's the lightest Merit cream bronzer. You guys have seen it a million times, picking it up with the brush. And I am, you guys know bronzer. I like to focus this a little bit higher. I'm gonna start by patting it because I wanna make sure I'm not applying too much. Sometimes you go in with like one pat and it's like way too much pigment. You're like, oh, I gotta like wipe that off, you know, and then blend. So always start with patting up, just adding warmth to the cheek. And I've been having a really bad habit of bringing my product way too far in, which is just like it's not flattering on me. I don't know why I keep doing it. So I'm really making an effort to keep it up a little bit higher. Utilizing that point for precision around the hairline. Any blondes will sympathize. Okay, nice. Just add a little bit of warmth, you know, very simple, very easy. Same thing for the forehead. You can buff back and forth. Okay. Very gentle. That's a very light bronzer, so I might build it up just a little bit more. So I think my powder bronzer might be a little bit more than this. For my powder bronzer, I'm going to be using not a bronzer. If you saw my recent like new makeup video, I'm going to be using Golden Tan from Rare Beauty. This is their finishing powder. They sent me a bunch of shades that were just too dark for me, but this is such a beautiful color and the formula is really beautiful. So I was like, screw it, I'll just use it as bronzer. So same deal. And this is like pretty dark, so I'm just really gently, once again, holding it pretty far back, tapping into that, not bronzer, finishing powder, tapping it off. And I'm really holding it far back, okay? And I'm gonna start off with this motion. So gentle swiping, really gentle, like kind of just like tickling, tickling my face. Up into the hairline. And then once I have that placed down, I'm gonna slowly start blending it out a little bit. That looks pretty good. I was worried about having colors like not match at all. Okay, so really gently sweeping, using a light hand, warming up that area, bringing it up to the temple. When it comes to applying powders in general, I just think a really, really light hand and holding your brush far back is really useful. And just dusting, just like barely dusting the product onto the skin. All right, let's go to blush. So once again, I'm going to start with my creams. I'm just going to wipe off the bronzer. And for my blush on the cream side, I'm gonna be using the new Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Plump Blush Veil in Strawberry Sunset, because it's pretty. That's the only reason, and it's new. So once again, dabbing, little dabs, okay? A little bit. I'm gonna pop it on the top of the cheekbone in a patting motion. Ever so slightly like closer to the eye. And I don't want to blend it out too much. Just right there. Which is what I feel like a lot of people complain about, like they have an intention of putting a product in a specific area, and as they start blending, it ends up everywhere, or it ends up like you just taking it like way too low or way too high or into your like eyes or something. And that's one of the reasons that a tiny face brush is something that I have always preferred and been wanting. So that's part of the reason that I made this. So I have the option to kind of like move my brush around a bit so that I'm blending. Because it's small enough, I'm not taking it like too far out. That is beautiful color. Love, 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 love. So pretty. So pretty. Wiping off my brush. And I don't know that I have like a one-to-one comparison for blush colors. I have this Valentino blush. This is the Eye to Cheek color in the shade 6, which is kind of a strawberry color. So I hope this works. It's a beautiful color. So once again, very gently dabbing. Now, if you have a very pigmented blush, tapping off, but also tapping onto the back of your hand first to see like, okay, is there too much here? And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pat. Starting by patting where I want the most pigment, which is right here. And once I have the most pigment on, once again, holding my brush really far back, I'm just doing the little tickle. This probably sounds really weird, but like, I don't know how else to describe it, so I feel like that's pretty accurate. Just a little like dusting over the skin. Building up more pigment with the patting motion. It's actually a pretty good color comparison. I'm gonna build up a teeny bit more pigment, picking it up, blending it on the back of my hand. Pretty. Ooh, I love, they're so close. I love that. Okay, cool. So when it comes to applying blush, that's the one thing that I would warn against is just be careful. The brush does have this point. We have this point up here, okay? And if you load up too much pigment and then you go in like immediately and you just have too much there, it might apply like a little stripe. So you want to be aware of how you're using your tool, okay? Okay, highlight. So for my cream highlighter, I'm going to be using Rare Beauty. I'm loving this right now. This is the Enlighten Liquid Luminizer. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this, just like the tiniest dab on the back of my hand. It's kind of a lot. On the back of my hand. And using my cream brush, I'm going to, and I actually didn't switch after applying the blush because the highlight and the blush kind of like melding together is something that I kind of like. So I'm just picking up a little bit and then just like tapping it on the back of my hand. So I'm not going in with too much. And right on the top of the cheekbone by Ziva. Ziva's over it. I'm going to gently pat, holding it far back. I'm hardly touching my skin. Like I'm literally like do 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 do, like bouncing. Bounce that highlight on my cheekbone. Bring it up above the brow slightly, just right here in this area. Gorge. Ugh. I love that. I love that liquid highlighter. It's so pretty. Oh, and it layers really nicely. It looks great with that blush. Love, 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 love. I remember back in the day when I used to like not be a cream person. Like I was like powders all the way for everything. It's just so funny how everything changes. For the powder side, I'm going to use the exact same highlight, except the powder one. So this is Enlighten, but powder. So once again, not going to wipe off my brush, just going to gently tap in, tap off, tap in, tap off. And this is like a pretty intense highlight. Like the powder highlight is pretty intense. So lightly dusting. Girl. I see you, Selena. I see you. Look at that. Are you kidding me? Woo! This is like, I want to look like glistening, you know? I want to look like dewy and glistening. And this is like glazed donut. Like I want to see these cheekbones in space. You know what I mean? Here is the comparison of the finished face makeup before any powder on this side, just so that you can see. Because I obviously would powder, like in here. So creams, contours, bronzer, blush, highlight, hello, love. Powders. Which one do you prefer? I know which one I prefer, but I want to hear which one you prefer. All right, guys, I applied powder to my cream side. This is the finished side by side. Thoughts? What do we think? I hope that this was helpful in some way. Please let me know if there are any like specific powders and creams that you want to see a side by side of. For instance, like if there are products like the, you know, Makeup by Mario blush and the Valentino blush that you are looking for like color comparisons for, or I don't know, something like that. Let me know if you want to see that. I'm super excited about this. You have absolutely no idea at all how excited I am. I'm like dying. If you are interested in picking up my brush with rougher and it's August 6th and beyond, it'll be linked down below. If not, I'll still have a link there so that you can pick it up when it launches. I hope you like it. If you do, get it. Hopefully this helps to just show you like how you can use it with both powders and creams. You know what I mean? I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. You have no idea. If you liked it, thumbs up and comment, leave me a comment and subscribe, and all of the things that help me out would be appreciated. And let me know what you want to say next. What do you want to say next? Okay. Goodbye.